Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I wanted to talk about Alliance Battle Legend. It's not a guide video just yet. I'm working on that, but I wanted to highlight how interesting this day of ABL is and how I think this game mode is going to continue to push the limits of people's rosters and really make you look at characters in a new light and really value characters that we never thought we would value before for completely different reasons than before. So I know that by the time you watch this video, it will already have changed, and the restriction for today will not be speed human female with fracture. But again, interesting problems that it poses because when you look at the roster there's only 3 female speed humans that have fracture. We have Arrow, we have Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, and we have Yelena. Now I know what you're thinking, but if you have Black Widow tier 4, you can circumvent that, and that's true. And this is where the highlight and the value of tier 4s is coming into square view. This is what the devs want you to do. They want you to tier 4 the new characters, and then when you're faced with a problem like this where you want to use your shiny new tier 4 Black Widow but you can't because she doesn't have fracture, you're like, oh no, I'm gonna have to sacrifice one of my supports to bring in Yelena, or to bring in Arrow, or to bring in Miss Marvel to cancel. You could do that. You absolutely could do that. But I think ultimately what the devs want you to do is they want you to tier 4 Black Widow, or whichever character it is, Iron Man, Hulk, whatever, and then set their striker as the character who will do the canceling. Because as we highlighted in another video, where you need to have the ability to apply fracture, what you can do, at least here in this case, is you can use Gambit. There are other characters like Captain Marvel with the new uniform. We also have Captain America Falcon, but these characters can apply fracture. So you can circumvent the restrictions of Alliance Battle Extreme and Alliance Battle Legend. There were already some players doing this in Alliance Battle Extreme, so ABX pros will already be very familiar with this tactic. But for those of you who weren't, this is coming much more greatly into focus for Alliance Battle Legend. So you can use this team. You could use a team like this if you have Black Widow tier 4. If you don't have Black Widow tier 4, then you're going to have to sacrifice a striker, or like a support, excuse me, to bring in one of these 3 to be your fracture specialist, to apply fracture. Because if you don't apply fracture, not only does Surtur deduct like 70,000 points from your score, which is huge because he does that twice, so it's like, you know, almost 250,000, but then he also does a lot of damage to you, and he can kill your characters if they don't have enough HP. So you definitely want to be canceling the abilities. With Yelena, in Yelena's case specifically, you have to remove the uniform. So this is where it gets pretty tricky. But yeah, besides these options, you really don't have many other options. There are other characters you can use for sure. Like you could use Luna and then cancel with someone else. Alternatively, I think you could just do this and you could not cancel. I know I said that you probably should cancel, but again, if you don't have Arrow, who's paywall, you don't have Yelena, who's also paywall, and you didn't buy Miss Marvel's uniform, you're not going to buy her uniform just for this day to do this once every 2 weeks. I get it. So the other option is to just brute force, just score as many points as you can, and take the hit when he doesn't get canceled. Don't die, heal back up with Luna, and then just continue chugging along. I think this is going to be the least effective strategy, but for a lot of you, this is your only option given your roster overall depth. So yeah, with that in mind, I now want to show you a few of these runs. So we're going to start off with Miss Marvel here. I think this is by far the best run that I can do, and it's the most fun, and we're just going to do the straightforward rotation of 3 cancel 4 cancel 5. The one thing we need to pay attention to is that we need to get away from Surtur as soon as possible when our rotation is done, because at the end of the 5th skill, Miss Marvel is vulnerable to damage, and if you take damage from Surtur, you can see he deducts points from your score. So you want to make sure that you don't get hit by him. The other nice thing here is that unlike other characters, you can just cancel with the tier 3 right at the beginning. Very, very easy to do, and it basically flows supernaturally with, like, supernaturally, not the Supernatural TV show, with your rotation. Now, you can also cancel with the 5th skill of Miss Marvel, but it happens right at the end of the rotation, so I do not recommend relying on it, and that's why I don't rely on using the 5th skill. So I'll cancel the 5th skill into the tier 3, but what I found is that the timing is just perfect. Her tier 3 is always, you know, ready to be used right when Surtur goes to the middle. And he only goes to the middle twice, so you only have to worry about doing this twice. But look at this. She's racking up mad points here. and she's doing a super good job. Clears the mobs out. Super easy rotation, super chill. I'm a bit behind on my rage proc here, so I should probably settle down. But the only thing you want to just keep doing is rotating around so that you are behind Surtur to avoid getting hit by some of his frontal attacks. Again, he'll reset to be in front of you, but if you pay attention to that, you can put yourself in a situation where you're going to lose fewer points, and then if you lose fewer, you get hit less, you lose fewer points, then you're in a better situation. Here, I'm not going to use the tier 3 because I know he's going to go to the middle at 110, so I'm just saving it. But then I'm just going to open with the same rotation again. Super duper easy. Look at that. So we just delay, you just delay the tier 3 by 1 rotation once in the entire fight. And that's it. You're done. This is super easy to play, super easy to remember, and super effective as well. You will have some quirks like that where he moves, and the targeting on Kamala's 5th is not the best. But otherwise, you know, I think she does an absolutely amazing job. Another thing you can do if you don't want to get hit at the end is try to use the first skill to iframe. I don't really like that strategy, but it is a potential strategy if you're finding yourself getting hit a lot and losing a lot of points. Because, yeah, he deducts points. He deducts thousands of points every time he hits you. Now, this is a bit unfortunate. We had to waste maybe a second of our Odin Force boost to run by those mobs. But we did land and get the tier 3 there. So that's really good. I see him. Surtur moving is really what is going to vary your score quite a bit. But it's okay. We do the best that we can. We're not able to squeeze another tier 3 out there. But yeah, see, a very, very easy and consistent 5 million. And there you go. I'm really happy with Kamala to see her value continue to be so strong. I mean, we were impressed with our tier 3 Venom level 70 for being able to get 5 million. And I think, you know, in Venom's case, that's a much less competitive day because you have Moon Knight, you have all these other characters that can use Fracture as combat types. The speed category is very weak as far as Fracture goes. You have Arrow and Yelena. You don't have any good options. She represents the only good free-to-play option. So if you want to snag the majority of these rewards for Alliance Battle Legend, I would say keep a close eye on who the next speed tier 4 is if you're not focused on Black Widow, because Black Widow basically is the only other option, and she's far more expensive than Ms. Marvel because you have to take her to tier 4. If you don't take her to tier 4, let me show you what you're going to have to do. So let's say you don't have Ms. Marvel's uniform, but you do have Yelena without the uniform. And again, I'm using Yelena in this case. Obviously, Ms. Marvel, I think, would be a little bit better, but I'm using her as an example here because if you had Kamala, I would suggest just using Kamala. Now, the good side of this rotation or this showcase for Black Widow is that I have a CTP of Rage on her. For those of you that don't know, the CTP of Rage is by far the best CTP for Alliance Battle Legend. It's following very closely in the footsteps of ABX, where we see that basically the same thing has been the case for a long time. If you don't have reforged CTPs, you basically have to use Rage. So here we go. We're going to cancel with the third skill. There we go. And when you cancel, you can then switch immediately. I can't switch to Black Widow right now because she's striking for me, but it resets the cooldown on the switch, which is a really cool feature specific only to this game mode. So it's not in ABX, it's not in any other game mode, but when you cancel, it refreshes the cooldown on your switch. So the devs basically did this on purpose so that players would be able to, you know, have a more smooth experience and not have to basically suffer so much. We're about to get the fourth bonus here. We didn't want to stand in front of him and get bonked by that massive sword attack, but here we're going to try to rack up our score, so we're going to use the co-op skill, not only for protection, but also to do some extra damage here, get some extra points in. Okay, there we go. I accidentally pressed the corner of my phone. Just regular Cynicalex things. Now, Widow's rotation is a little bit faster than Kamala's, and it has a bit of a shorter cooldown, so you will be able to squeeze in more hits. Also, unlike Ms. Marvel, you don't have to worry about you know, saving your tier 3 for the second cancel, because all you're going to do is switch to Yelena when the time comes in a few seconds, and it's about to come here. I'm actually going to delay it a little bit longer. Okay, we know he's... Okay, I should have dodged that. We're just going to delay it a little bit longer because I want to clear the mobs out of the way so that it's easier for Yelena. So there we go. And you can see there, it was a 12-second I should have used the 6 skill first. That was a misplay. But it was a 12-second cooldown on Black Widow switch, and as soon as I canceled with Yelena, that cooldown reset to 0, which is very nice. But as you can also see, the score is lower, right? So tier 4 Black Widow is probably going to be quite a bit higher. We're going to delay the tier 3 here because we know in 5 seconds we're going to get that buff, so we want to wait. You definitely want to try and do this, at least on the last one, because it is well worth the extra points. But as you can see, yeah, Miss Marvel is a far better alternative here. If you have them both built similarly. If you have tier 4 Black Widow, completely different story. But we don't here. So I could probably clean this up a little bit, maybe 3.5 million. But I don't see too much more getting added here. 3.3. So yes, she falls almost 2 million points short of Miss Marvel. And it's an overall larger investment because you need Black Widow, and then you also need to have base Yelena. Good thing you don't need a uniform, but bad that you need to use her, and then bad that you basically only have wave. You don't have the opportunity or the space to do a double support. You can obviously get around that by tier 4ing your Black Widow and then reintroducing either Shuri or White Fox. But again, that tier 4 investment is huge. So basically, from there, your options are even more limited. If you don't do the Black Widow option, if you don't do the Miss Marvel option, which I think is the most cost efficient, then you're probably going way back in the time machine to someone like Luna, where you're going to have to then sacrifice one of these supports for another striker that can come in and cancel for you. Arrow is probably the best because of the extra team ups where you get 10% extra energy attack. It's unfortunate because I would like to use White Fox. Actually, you honestly could use White Fox. She gets the same buffs because White Fox gives Luna a lot of passive support. But yeah, those are your options. So I wanted to cover this today just because not only does it highlight the value of Miss Marvel, who I already think is an amazing tier 3. Like, the devs really put so much value into her, considering that they knew ahead of time that this game mode was coming out. So them giving Miss Marvel Fracture was to pay off in the future. So I really like that future payoff. I wanted to highlight that. Obviously in the future, more speed characters will get uniforms, or we'll get new speed characters. Finally, we got Toxin and Gore, or we'll get new speed tier 4s who will be able to then use Fracture, or you can use it as a striker skill like I showed you with Hulk. But in the meantime, I think she poses the best value, and it'll be at least a couple of weeks before we see anything else from that. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens. But yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'll have a review for this coming up soon for Alliance Battle Legend. But in the meantime, I just wanted to give you guys a few tips, show you some gameplay, get the juices flowing, get the ideas going, and also to highlight some options for you if you were sort of stumped on this day and you weren't sure what to do. Last thing I want to say on this is the build of the character that you're using to cancel. If they're not the main damage dealer, it also matters. So what that means is, if you're not using Miss Marvel to cancel, and if you're not using tier 4 Black Widow, but you're bringing in someone like Yelena or like Arrow, or even like Miss Marvel, but like with a lower build, they may need to be built up more in order to do enough damage to Surtur for him to register it. Now, I can't show you this in real time because I can't unbuild my characters, but essentially what I'm saying is, if you have like a level 60 tier 1 Yelena and you're trying to cancel Surtur's shield with Fracture, and you're not doing any damage and it's not working, the game is not bugged. Your Yelena is just not doing enough damage, or Surtur is dodging her. So what can you do for that? Obviously, if you can bring the character to tier 2, if you can finish their mastery, if you can bring them to level 70, all of that is going to matter. So the more you can do, the better. Obviously, the more you do, the more cost involved. So you have to sort of weigh the cost-benefit analysis. If you can transcend the character, sure, but I don't think you should need to transcend the character. I think level 70 would probably be where you can stop, like, safely. But you may need to give them an obelisk, doesn't have to be a CTP, an obelisk, and then giving them an ISO 8 set helps a lot, because it gives you a flat attack bonus, up to 8.5%, and then it also gives you the attack bonus that triggers when you're attacking, that little white text there. We undervalue how much that is, but that stacks. So that 8% is then getting buffed by another 20 to 40%. So even if you have a low attack stat from having, lower end cards, you can still push that attack stat higher. You can throw on some Uru, that sort of thing. And hopefully that will help you to get that cancel off so that you can continue to do damage, because especially for maybe not today specifically, well, maybe today specifically, the rewards, and we didn't highlight this in a video yet, but the rewards rotate. And so when we take a look at this one, it's Wolverine. So we highlighted the one on the first impressions video where it was Emma Frost. Then yesterday it was Drax. Now today it's Wolverine. So that's another reason why I wanted to highlight this day specifically. If these artifacts continue to line up with these specific days, then you may very well want to, if you want to get that artifact for Wolverine, you may very well want to build speed hero female, or speed human females, excuse me, in order to be able to grab that chest. So yeah, we didn't get anything too spicy, but that's okay. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck out there. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.